All right, welcome. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to build a kind of visual dictionary for the language of science, exploring some of the most important terms in both English and Turkish. We're going to look at the inventions we use every day, the words we need to talk about them, the brilliant people who create them, and the huge ideas that basically shape our entire world. But before we start building our dictionary, let's just take a quick look at some of the big ideas we're pulling from today.
Just to get a feel for the journey ahead. We're talking about everything from concepts like bionic eyes to the first steps humanity ever took on the moon.
And from incredible machines like 3D printers to the discovery of fundamental forces like gravity, seeing all of this really makes you wonder, so how do we even begin to make sense of it all? Well, let's start with the things we can actually see and touch, the incredible scientific achievements we hold in our hands every single day.
So, our first chapter is all about tangible science, the inventions and the developments that have become a real part of our everyday lives.
Okay, take the hybrid car. I mean, it's so much more than just a vehicle, right? It's a fantastic example of how totally different fields of science, like chemistry for the battery, engineering for the engine, and electronics for all the controls, can come together to solve huge real-world problems like pollution and fuel efficiency. Science isn't just about convenience. It's about saving lives. The airbag is the perfect example. Its whole purpose is simple: prevent death. But the science behind it is just incredible. We're talking about a controlled chemical explosion that inflates a bag in milliseconds, creating a cushion out of thin air. That's applied science at its most impactful.
Science also empowers people. Inventions like the wheelchair provide mobility and independence, and they really show how scientific understanding can be used to dramatically improve someone's quality of life.
And sometimes the most revolutionary tools are actually the simplest. The compass doesn't look like much, but by harnessing the Earth's magnetic field, it completely changed human history. It literally opened up the entire planet for exploration. This was the original GPS, guiding us across oceans long before satellites were even a dream.
Okay, so we've seen what science can create. But to really understand it, we need the right language. What are the words we actually use to describe the act of creation and discovery?
And this brings us right to the vocabulary of science, the specific terms that help us define how all this progress actually happens.
Now this slide highlights a subtle but super critical distinction. What's the difference between an inventor and a discoverer? Well, an inventor builds something that has never existed before, like Willis Carrier creating the first air conditioner. A discoverer, on the other hand, uncovers something that was always there, just waiting to be found, like Marie Curie revealing the hidden elements of radium and polonium. It's the difference between creation and revelation.
Before any new machine becomes a common sight, it starts as a prototype. This is that crucial first working model. It's the idea made physical for the first time. That first step from imagination to reality, where all the theories really get tested.
But the journey doesn't end with the prototype. The next massive step is turning it into a product. This is where an invention goes from a one-of-a-kind model to something that can be manufactured by the millions and used by people all over the world. It's how a single idea can achieve a truly global reach.
So, to talk about this whole journey, we need a shared vocabulary. Words like important contributions or actions like prevent and rescue in an emergency are the real building blocks for discussing science in both English and Turkish. Understanding them is absolutely key.
All right, so we have the inventions and we have the language to describe them. But who are the people actually doing the work? Let's meet the minds behind the science.
You see, science isn't some abstract force. It's a human endeavor. It's carried out by scientists, inventors, astronomers, chemists, technicians, and doctors. Each one of these roles represents a different way of looking at the world and trying to solve its puzzles.
And whether it's a scientist looking at soil samples under a microscope or an astronomer looking at the stars, the core activity is really the same. It's all about careful observation and analysis to understand how things work.
But these roles aren't just abstract titles. They belong to real people making world-changing contributions. People like Aziz Sancar, who's an expert in DNA repair. His work fundamentally deepens our understanding of how life literally corrects its own mistakes, and that has huge implications for medicine.
Okay, so we've looked at the objects and the people. But behind it all are the big ideas, the fundamental concepts that completely change our perspective on the entire universe.
I mean, just think about gravity. You can't see it or hold it, and yet this invisible force shapes our entire universe. It's what keeps our feet on the ground,
and it's what holds whole galaxies together. Understanding this one idea was a monumental leap for all of science.
And then you get an idea so powerful it can be distilled into just a few symbols. E equals mc squared. This isn't just a formula. The source material calls it an equality, and that's perfect. It's a profound statement that energy and mass are just two sides of the same coin, an idea that unlocked the power of the atom itself.
So what a journey, right? We've gone all the way from tangible objects like the wheelchair, through the language of prototypes and products, to the people who do the work, and finally to these massive ideas like gravity that hold it all together.
So our visual dictionary is far from complete, because science is a living story that we are all writing together, one discovery, one invention, one idea at a time. Which leaves us with the ultimate question: what will the next word be? Thanks for exploring with us.